We start with another performer who likes to make a spectacle of himself with sequined capes, synthesizers, dry ice and flowing blonde locks. Rick Wakeman, composer and keyboard player with the prog rock band Yes, turns 60 next week. He recently revived his 1973 solo album, The Six Wives of Henry VIII, performing it live at Hampton Court Palace, flanked by at least 8 synthesizers, a full orchestra and a rock band to mark the 500th anniversary of Henry's accession to the throne. These days, Rick Wakeman is a radio DJ, makes frequent TV appearances on shows like Grumpy Old Men and Countdown, and has published a book about his rock and roll youth. I asked him whether he was now better known for his telly appearances than his music.
I suppose it sort of hit home a few years ago when I was doing quite a few countdowns, and an elderly lady came up to me afterwards, very nice, and she said, "I had no idea you played the piano, young man. You're really quite good." I said, "Oh, right." And she said, "Have you made any discs?" And I said, "Yes, 136. And she said, "Have you sold them all yet?" And I said, "No, 136 different ones." She went, "Oh." And it suddenly occurred to me that people in the street, when they used to always come up and talk about music, will now come out and talking about Grumpy Old Men or one of the other TV programmes. Then suddenly my agent started calling and saying, "Would you like to do these after dinners?" And I said, "Well, we'll go along and play." He said, "No, go along and moan." And I went, "Right, OK." So I suddenly found myself doing the corporate after lunches and after dinners, which I have to say are great fun and very different.
So you're cheering up bankers, are you?
Yes. Well, that's the other thing as well. If you're up there as a sort of a grumpy old man moaning at a dinner, you really can have a not so gentle pop at some people and actually get away with it. I was at the House of Commons a couple of days ago having dinner. Unfortunately, I wasn't doing the talk afterwards. I would have loved to have done it because I could have had a field day. I mean, I did take along my expenses to get there and handed it in when I arrived. That didn't go down very well.
Did you claim for cleaning your moat in Norwich?
No, it was very funny. I claimed for having my car cleaned so that it wouldn't offend any of the parliamentarians. It was sort of greeted with a...
Now, you've just been back on stage again at Hampton Court performing your piece, The Six Wives of Henry VIII. I mean,
yeah.
what did that feel like, to be back doing a sort of grand spectacle again?
It was fantastic. I haven't done one like that in England for, cracky, donkey's years, since the 70s. And I thought, you know, it needs to be done in England. And then I got the lovely call from Hampton Court saying, would I like to play in the open air and perform The Six Wives out the front? And so we just went to town.
I want to know what you wore, because, I mean, you like dressing up, don't you? I mean, the pictures of you in the book, and, you know, 70s glittery capes, caftans, flowing blonde locks.
Yes, well, yeah, one still does that. I did have 4 cape changes throughout the performance, including staircases that came out of the stage and a floating cathedral organ complete with pipes. We did all of that.
You were ahead of your time in using technology on stage, weren't you? But that had its risks, as you relate in the book.
Yes, especially with stage designs. I mean, if you've ever watched Spinal Tap, there's one area in the films where the bass player gets caught in a pod that they'd had made, and they have to sort of smash it open to get him out. Well, that actually happened with Yes. Roger Dean built us a stage set for the Tales from Topographic Oceans tour, and Alan, our drummer, was inside basically a giant clam, a giant seashell, which would open as we started playing with all lights inside. It looked fantastic until the night it refused to open. We can hear his muffled playing away, which was getting weaker and weaker and weaker as the oxygen was running out. They couldn't prise this clam open, this fiberglass clam. So in the end, while we were playing away, there's roadies coming on with electric saws, cutting holes in it to feed oxygen into him, until eventually it burst open about 5 or 6 minutes after we'd started, to reveal a very, very sweaty and gasping Alan. But the audience tended to think that that was all meant to happen.
Didn't your keyboards used to pick up extraneous noise as well?
Yeah, the Mini Moogs, which I still use to this day, in the early days, in the early 70s, they used to pick up RF, radio frequency, which could be an absolute nightmare wherever you were playing. My favourite was when I did Journey at Crystal Palace in 1975. It was just the start of, before the football season, of the teams playing friendlies. And people then used to buy the newspapers, which would print the football matches on the back. And then, as the BBC read out the result, people would write the results down. When it came to the second that we were due to play, I pushed the pedal down. Unfortunately, the orchestra weren't quite ready, so there was a pause of about 5 seconds. And in that 5 seconds, there was no chance, because pounding over the PA, after the audience had quietened down, came Arsenal 3, Southampton 2, Aston Villa 4, and to our amazement, they all pulled out pens and started writing the results down. So we waited 2 minutes till they'd cleared all of these friendly matches that had gone by. There was a few cheers as people's teams won or lost, and then we started playing.
You recount how you became big in Japan, not for your music initially, but your legendary ability to drink.
Yeah, we basically drunk a Japanese Airlines plane dry with my own band and crew twice. And it made front page of all the newspapers, and Mr. Udo, who was the promoter there, he was wonderful. He sort of said, "Oh, Lick, you're a naughty boy, Lick." And I said, "What have I done, Mr. Udo?" He said, "Oh, look at the newspapers. It says you drank a Japanese Airline plane dry twice." I said, "Yeah, we did." I said, "Are we in trouble?" He said, "No, they say you're very well behaved and they want to sponsor a show." It was the very first sponsorship done for a show, certainly in Japan.
Now, I mean, most of the stories in the book are about you performing when you've drunk sort of 15 pints or you've downed your favourite tipple of port and brandy. And I wondered if it was a bit of a come-down once you started performing sober.
Well, most of the time, to actually play on stage, you can't play the sort of stuff I do if you are completely out of it. It does become an impossibility. So most of the drinking exploits were done afterwards and through the early hours through to gone breakfast and into midday. The strange thing was, when I stopped in 1985, I stopped because I was ill, really. I'd drunk too much over the years and I had alcoholic hepatitis and bits weren't working and I just felt dreadful. So I had, basically I stopped. And it's probably the best thing I ever did. Musically, I think I improved greatly. I listen back to some of the recordings I did when I know I'd had the odd drink, and I go, my God, actually, that is really not as good as I thought it was at the time.
Now, most celebrities, when they write about quitting drink or drugs, they talk about years of rehab and therapy, and there's a lot of sort of confessional, I have sinned, but, now I've seen the light, and blah, blah, blah. But there's none of that in your book. You were told to give up, and you did it, and it all sounds kind of pretty easy, really.
Well, I'm not one of those that sort of, because I've given up, thinks that the rest of the world should give up. There's two things. One is when people refer to me, they say, "Oh, well, you are an alcoholic." And I sort of go, well, possibly, but I'm not quite sure what the true definition of alcoholic is. But when they turn around and say, once an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic. See, I don't believe that. I don't think that there is anything that could make me go back to heavy drinking or whatever again. In fact, I know there isn't. So why would I still be classed as an alcoholic? And I think that's a very bad thing because it makes people think, I'm always going to be that. And I think that's terribly wrong.
It struck me reading your book that you're actually a very optimistic person, a very positive person, because, although your book's called Grumpy Old Rock Star, actually it's a bit of a misnomer. You're not really that grumpy at all. I mean, it's more kind of a bit of a lad, really. Yeah,
I am. But the truth is, I am actually grumpy. I mean, if you get me on the subjects of anything from politicians to trains to public transport to airlines, all the things that we all moan about, I can go forever. But it's very, very British. Indeed, probably even more English than British, that we love to have a good moan, but we don't do anything about it. I mean, much as I know that a lot of us would like to entice the whole of the French population into the Channel Tunnel and brick it up both ends, the fact of life is that the French actually won't stand for any of the nonsense that we do. I mean, if the French don't like the price of bread because it gets too heavy, they go, we will not buy the bread for till they bring the price down. As much as they love their pain, they will not buy it until the price goes down. What do we do over in England? If the price of bread gets too, we have a good moan about it and go out and buy an extra loaf.
Rick Wakeman and his book Grumpy Old Rockstar is out now in paperback.